Hey everyone, it's Danielle Taylor with Keller Williams Realty here on the beautiful Outer Banks. And drumroll, today is Stats Day. I think we need a reverb or something, Sandy. We need to put that in there. Anyway, like Stats Day. Anyway, it is Stats Day, and today's information is through September 30th, 2025. So this takes us right through the end of Q3. And just a reminder that we always track the single-family residential data for all of Dare County and all of Corolla, including four-wheel drive. So that being said, let's dive in. So the first thing that we always track is how our unit sales are doing. So ending September was up about 2.1% year to date versus where we ended 2024. So we're up in units. We're up 15% September over September, and we're up about 2% September over August. Okay, so unit sales have been trending up, which is amazing. Inventory. So new listing inventory is actually down about 5.1% year to date over 2024. So we've got unit sales up about 2% and new inventory down about 5%. So that creates that delta in terms of viable inventory. We are flat September over August in terms of new listings, and we're down about 7% in new listings this September over last September. So definitely a trend on the downside. Of those new listings, about a third, so about 33% of those properties have already sold or gone under contract, and the average days on market for those was 8. And that is actually up significantly. Last month, it was 2. So even our hot properties are taking a little bit longer. I'm sorry, I have a cat here. So just something to watch. We continue to hover right around overall about 5 months worth of inventory, which keeps us in that stable market range. But I think I mentioned this last month, and I'm going to say it again because it's really, really important for us to realize it's very different by area. For example, if we look at Duck on the west side, it's sitting at over 11 months worth of inventory. Whereas if we looked at Kill Devil Hills on the west side, we're sitting at 2.7. So when people ask me if it's a buyer's market or a seller's market, it's such a nuanced question, and it depends on so many things, including the area. So just bear that in mind. Pricing. So how are we doing on pricing? So the median single-family residential sales price year to date sits at $703,000, which is down about 2% from where we were in 2024. So we are down slightly, not statistically significant, but we are down a little bit. The median list price for everything that's under contract right now is sitting at about $699, and the median list price for everything that's active is sitting at $799. So we continue to have this big gap. It just does not seem to be reducing at all. So huge discrepancy between where things are, what people are asking versus what's actually selling. Median sold to list ratio has stayed at about 97. I think right now it's 97.7, and that's up slightly from flat 97 where we were in 2024. So once we get to the right price, we're still driving some pretty strong numbers. Of all of the sales year to date, about 26.3% of them have been cash buyers. So still the vast majority of our buyers are getting some sort of financing. And that's down a little bit from 29% last year. I don't think that's a surprise for anybody, but definitely just something to bear in mind. Price reductions. So year to date, about 43.1% of the sold inventory has done at least one price reduction before they sold. And that's actually up a little bit from 35.8% that we were year to date 2024. So up a little bit. Almost 44% of those properties that are under contract and almost 49% of the properties that are active have done at least one price reduction. So getting the price right is still a bit of a challenge and a finesse in this market. Interesting side note that I wanted to share. So we took a look at if a property that sold had done a price reduction, okay? So of that sold inventory, if they did a price reduction, they ended up selling eventually at about 95.5% of their asking price and only 89.1% of their original list price that they started at. And that's a big difference from if they didn't do a price reduction, because those that did not do a price reduction sold at an average of 97.4. To further harp on this, because you know I talk about pricing all the time, the median sold price, if you did not do a price reduction, was $729,500. The median sold price for those homes that did a price reduction was $667,500. That's a big number. So just let that sink in and really think about how you're strategically pricing your property. Really important. Multiple offers. So in terms of activity, how are we doing? Overall, just under 16% of the sold inventory has indicated that they had received multiple offers, down a little bit from last year at just under 17%, so not significant, but down a bit. And 12% of the properties that have done a price reduction actually ended up in multiple offers. So once we hit the right price, the market will respond. Days on market. So the average days on market for sold inventory sits about 65 versus 52 last year. So we are up. The median is 41 versus last year at 28. So just something to bear in mind, we are continuing to see things take a little bit longer to sell. For our under contract inventory, that's sitting at 73 average days on market, and actives is sitting at 120. So those are really struggling, I think, to find the right price and to find their buyer. So another interesting month. I mean, I don't think any massive revelations. I think the trends we're seeing are continuing, but I think the big takeaway is we continue to see less new inventory and strong unit sales, and prices are holding. So that would be the Cliff Notes version. Anyway, as always, please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of these, and make sure you're getting our newsletter, because there's information I cover here that's not in there and vice versa. Anyway, I hope you have a great day, and as always, reach out if you need anything. Talk to you soon.